who are intrigued about what ESG is and to shed more light upon, we have Dr. Shruti Sharma, and who is an associate professor and academic lead at TERI, and Mr. Thakur Fevani, Chief Sustainability Officer at TVS. Welcome you both. While everyone will be joining in, we'll get on to our discussion. But Shruti, your background is giving me cold mountainous vibes. Please tell me where you are.
So thank you, Gursheen. I hope I'm audible.
You are.
Yes. Yeah, so it's a privilege to join from 313 feet. So here I am at Tsomgo Lake in Sikkim, and I wish I could have shown you all the background, just giving you a glimpse of what I am. Because, and this is a part of an Indian Army work on sustainability project, which we are doing as a part of TERI. And to start the webinar with this is, I think it's the right start. When we talk from an Indian Army perspective, and especially the sustainability aspect, and here at such a high altitude, where we are seeing, at that altitude, every resource matters. And that's what I've been seeing for the last 2 days. I'm working with Indian Army. Every liter of water, every unit of energy, every kilogram of waste, and every logistical decision has an impact for Indian Army. And here it is, I've been made to know that it's a way of life in Indian Army. And it's not a buzzword, it's an operational necessity. So I think it becomes, the context of the webinar currently, which we are in, where ESG in action from strategy to impact. I think this is where we can, when I would like to begin the conversation as we go. Thank you so
For
much.
sure, and I couldn't be more jealous. And I feel that I'm speaking on behalf of a lot of people that sitting here in Delhi while you're in the mountains on a weekend, it's something that everybody would want. So beginning with to asking to both the panelists, if you had to explain ESG, it's a very technical term. So if you had to explain it to a 15-year-old or to somebody, to your parents, how would you do it?
So I think, for me, it is a 15-year-old. I think Thakur would be having more, granular aspect. How do you? But for me, it's doing well by doing good. So, and yes,
Right.
it's a way of life, the way you live. Yes.
And Thakur, what would you say?
Hi, Gursheen. Hi, Professor
Hi.
Shruti. Hello, everyone. Thank you for making me part of this conversation. And it's quite fascinating. For me, ESG and sustainability, the differentiator is like one-way transaction or discussion versus two-way transaction or transaction and discussion. ESG is generally, we can always say, is outside-in perspective. It is the language which finance analysts and people, those who are interested in the organizations, they want to see when the world is changing around. How are you going to deal with it? How resilient is the organization? Or how resilient is your system and processes? So it is like an outside-in lens. Whereas sustainability is holistic. It is two-way transaction. It is not only outside in, but also it gives a perspective to the organization to look back, take two step back and understand what exactly and how your footprint look like and at what level you're impacting the world. It's not necessary that when compliance or authorities or anyone who is an investor will ask, then only you will do something. Over and above, if you are a responsible organization, inside out perspective is also important. So in a very nutshell, in a summary format, I would say sustainability should be seen from both sides, irrespective of how world is moving. Because of your footprint, are you creating a positive impact or not is more important. And when you have to balance both outside in and inside out, then that's a sweet spot people enjoy. Sustainability create a value for the organization, institution, state, or the national economy.
Right. So it has to start at the bottom of it and then go to the top. So on that note, what is the most funniest or the most common myth you've heard about ESG? Since you've spoken about the two-way transactions and how it has to start from an individual and then go to the very top.
People think that this is a tick in the box activity. There are also perspectives where their understanding is that once you do certain set of checks and balances, you are immune But we have to also see it from the lens of look at how the risk is prevailing. The latest report of World Economic Forum also indicate which is a short-term and a long-term risk. If we look into it, climate change is one of the biggest threat, and 5 out of 10 risks are around environment and climate change. On top of it, there is social polarization, geopolitical war, inflation. There are many more things which are either interlinked or it is going to create an impact. So
Yeah.
if we start to look at it only from one lens and by saying that, okay, if I have achieved some investor rating or ranking at certain level, our business is resilient enough or sustainable enough, it's not something which is a reality. Look at the world, how it is moving. After 2020, we have not seen a single year where there is a peace.
Yeah.
Either it is coming in the form of a pandemic or it is coming in the form of a war, inflation. Earlier, there was only one active war front. There are six now.
Yeah.
And you never know how things are going to place. And some are sitting 16,000 kilometers away, evening giving you some tariff jolt and shaking and giving the shockwave to the world is also a new reality. So I would say that outside in perspective is not at all the only way by which we can say that we are making our organization better, resilient, and ahead of the curve.
Right. Dr. Shruti, what would you feel is the funniest or the most common myth? Being an academic, I'm sure you come across a lot of questions from students or from people at large. So, what would you say?
Gursheen, the common myth about this whole domain of sustainability and ESG is it's a futuristic problem. So let us
Mm.
keep on doing what we are doing, and in future when it comes, we are going to tackle it. And Thakur has very rightly pointed out that it is not at our doorstep. The challenge, the climate challenge or the climate problem which we are seeing now, that it's
Mm.
not at our doorstep. It's how what we are. It's impacted our everyday life. In fact,
Right.
Thakur spoke about the global risk report. Specifically from an investor and business perspective, he spoke about physical risk and
Mm.
transition risk. So currently, we are in an era where everything is in and around climate change.
Right.
Everything is interconnected and interdependent. So the myth that it is, it's not integrated into, it does not matter our individual community, or it's just something which has to it's a future problem or it's a bigger policy problem.
Mm.
It's not like that, or the government will take an action. So it's now an individual problem, it's a community problem, it's a corporate problem. That's what there. And the thing that it's a problem of future, no. It is where now, 2025 was the year where the World Meteorological Organization said that this is the year where climate change has happened. Thakur
Mm.
pointed out that every year it's getting worse. Talk
Yeah.
about, I think during the course of our webinar, we will talk about how it's impacting, our everyday life, be it
Yeah.
inflation, be it the way we operate, everything is dependent or, is a problem related to climate change now.
Right. Speaking about everyday lives, you and Thakur both pointed out that there's a war going on miles away, and we are sitting here in India. And most of the people think if it is a cost of war, it's happening miles away, how it's going to impact India. So, what would you say on that? What is your
Cost
opinion?
cost of war, yes, it is impacting us. If you look at the geopolitical crisis, or Thakur spoke about poly crisis, that we are in the midst of multiple wars. And this
Yeah.
is a proper terminology of poly crisis. So we are in war with nature, we are in war with humans, and we are currently in a state. I mean, it's where we are living in a fragmented world currently. And
Mm.
the problem is, the globalization has when we talk from a business perspective, individual perspective, that through globalization, we are all now a part of a larger ecosystem where everything is interconnected and everything is interdependent. So
Mm.
it's, if US sneezes, they used to say that the world catches cold. This was 2008, 2009. But
Mm.
you look at what the current crisis is all about. When we look at everything is centered around energy. So if you talk
Mm.
about the Russia Ukraine, you talk about the volatility on energy prices. You can look
Mm.
at the volatility of raw material prices. We know that what kind of a crude oil situation we are in. We talk about how Strait of
Mm.
Hormuz has impacted our everyday life. Every common
Yeah.
man has been impacted. Where we talk about the food energy nexus, the water. There's a lot of things which are interdependent. and
Hmm.
being in a state of war. I think we are now in a permanent state of war. It's not
Yeah.
that earlier it used to happen. Now it's, you have to deal with it. You have to do business. You have to survive in this continuous state of war, which is there geopolitically, and you as a nation, as a business, has to operate. So I think it's being normalized now. Now you have to
I
find a
would
way
like
to
to
work.
add something to that. Like when you say that we will have to permanently live in this state, I don't think the state is improving. It is depleting by day. So Thakur, would you please add on to Shruti, what Shruti has said? What are your opinions on that?
Yeah, see, war never brings in something we call it as a stability or
Yeah.
a surety that how on what basis they are fighting and what outcome they are going to get out of it. It has multiple effects. I still remember 1990 when the first Gulf War was there. It has given a
Hmm.
birth to the new innovation like solar,
Hmm.
and it expanded like anything.
Hmm.
The rate at which we were buying solar 15 years ago, which was 14 rupees a unit, now it is
Hmm.
getting converged into 2 rupees a unit.
Hmm.
We have to also see the upside of that. People have realized that the gas shortage or the fuel crisis is now going to give birth to new technologies. You can
Hmm.
always see the discussion is on the green hydrogen, nuclear plants for the stability and many more things.
Hmm.
So it is in a way we have to also see that when everything is bad, how we can find the opportunity in between that so that
Hmm.
things don't fall through crack. Because at the end
Hmm.
of the day, we have to save the humanity. We have to save the
Hmm.
world around us. There is only one earth where we can, live, thrive, and look forward for our next generation to also feel
Yeah.
safe over a period of time. So, in my perspective, it has to be seen from both lenses. That when you are part of the problem, we have to be the part of solution,
Hmm. Yeah.
and it cannot be only a complaint approach by saying that problems are there around us and it will remain forever,
Hmm.
right? And this is a cyclic process. If you look at the humanity that faced, the cycle is always 400 year. There is one superpower comes in and rattle the world, and world find the way to move around and navigate around. Situation will not remain same 15 year down the line.
Hmm.
But one thing will for sure remain: the impact of the war, impact of the things which human is accelerating, be it AI, be it any of those things. The byproduct and aftermath effect is climate. And that's a reality, right? We are talking about now two things: adaptation, and we are talking about mitigation.
Hmm.
The mitigation phase is something which is almost ongoing. We have to accelerate because there are ways, avenues available. We have to
Hmm.
walk at a pace, at a scale and speed.
Hmm.
But at the same time, organizations also need to contribute along with government on resilience, adaptation, because sooner or later, 2 degree, 2.5 degree, or 3 degree is the reality. Inevitable, it will happen. But are we
Right.
ready for it? Is something which is very, very important.
Right. And this is my follow-up question to you on that. A lot of ESG is ESG really making a difference? Because a lot of people hear companies talking about sustainability, but they often also wonder, is this real or is this good marketing? How do you tell the difference to that?
It depends on how organization take this up. If it is a tick in the box activity because compliance is asking you to do and you are part of the 1,000 listed company in BRSR,
Hmm.
then of course it will remain as a tick in the box activity, because then you are meeting the compliance like any other 100 compliances which organization is privy to and they will have to uh,
Hmm.
abide to. But there are good organizations, those who consider this as their part of their ethos and pathos. It is like
Right.
uh, being in a responsible company, they feel this is something to survive for a longer period, brand to thrive over a period of time, and
Hmm.
become from a one SKU brand to 100 SKU brand, and also earn trust of employees as an employer of choice, earn trust of society as being an employer
Hmm.
of choice. I mean, social license to operate. It is important for organization to see the merit in it and not only limit up to the ESG index or indexation, but also go beyond that,
Hmm.
which is what is good in it for me in future, but how I can make difference for the society. Like at TVS Motor Company, for us, it's not only just environment is important, social dimension is also equally important. And that's where there are five levers like supplier, dealer, customer, community, and employee. All five levers are important for us. And that's
Hmm.
how it has to happen in a very balanced manner.
Hmm.
Not only skew every effort towards environment or climate change, but also equally weightage to be given on social and be ethical and responsible organization towards the strong governance too.
Hmm. Right, Dr. Shruti, I would like to ask you, do you think, and I need an academic outlook on that, do you think people today care more about whether a company is responsible than they did 5 years ago? Or is the price still the biggest deciding factor?
No, we are seeing a social shift. Now stakeholders are questioning company, and especially in an era where, we are dependent on social media and everything is
Yeah.
out there and open. We see that transparency has become the holy grail for organization. If we are looking at building equity, if they're looking at building trust, because now when we are looking at, stakeholders are judging companies, on the
Hmm.
basis of the way they do, what kind of processes, what kind of mechanisms they do have. As Thakur mentioned, that now when we look at it from a stakeholder perspective, let's talk of an investor. Now, investors are doing a risk audit of a company based on their ESG parameters. So that
Hmm.
becomes, one of the hygiene. I'm not saying, that's the starting point for an investor, the
Hmm.
ESG risk audit, whether the company is safe to invest or not.
Hmm.
So that's from an investor's perspective. The consumers are more aware now. So the consumer now need to know that how your product is manufactured and how responsible you are as a company. And when you're looking at companies now, it's all about product stewardship is what we talk about. So I think
Hmm.
Thakur knows well because TVS is one of the companies which I've seen as practicing product stewardship, where they practice circularity. Whatever I think as an academician we're teaching to the students is, you find the ESG poster child. When you look at it from an Indian perspective, there are very few, and TVS, I would say, is one of those the one companies we look up to because they're actually walking the talk. As I spoke about Indian Army,
Hmm.
the walking the talk, leading by examples. So you see companies here in
Hmm.
India, they've actually started practicing it, because of the stakeholder expectations that yes, the ethos are there of the companies, it's ingrained in the value system. Leadership has role, but then your investors are questioning, your consumers are asking, they are check even they are wanting to know that how your product has been, what kind of manpower or labor have you used, the child labor have, I mean, you whether you've used or not, ethical practices or not. So all those things are there. Your employer also looking at, they feel motivated if they feel they're part of the, impact which has been created, the company which stands for good. So it's become a
Hmm.
part of organization culture also. So that is
Right.
how, when you look at ESG, yeah, I'm sorry to use the term ESG and sustainably interchangeably, they're very different. But I'm
Hmm.
saying that, everybody is looking at the company, and now your
Hmm.
top line and bottom line, your value creation, when we are looking at, is dependent on this. And
Hmm.
there is, when we are questioning, I think it's an existential crisis for businesses here currently. The problem is climate risk, climate change, as we discussed, both me and Thakur spoke about that. Now it's in your door, not at your doorstep. You are dealing with it on a
Yeah.
day-to-day basis. You're struggling, it's so when the survivability is in question, that is where sustainability is being talked about.
Hmm.
So you have to keep your cash flow on, you have to keep your employees happy and all. So all
Hmm.
of these things matter, and this is the only way forward. As I said, that Thakur spoke about that, yes, it's crisis situation for us. Yes, we are, currently there's a state of war, but then there is a silver, every cloud has a silver lining. Thakur pointed about a Gulf crisis when he spoke about that Gulf crisis led to that solar boom which happened in India in 1990. And same, we are looking at a silver lining, and we are looking at sustainability as a parameter to show you the way, right?
Hmm.
And I will just end my current thing where, we need a paradigm shift here, Gurshi, and companies have realized this because the stakeholders are looking at it. Prices, it's become secondary now. Now it's there are larger things at stake. The priorities have moved it. That is where it's a boardroom agenda now.
Hmm.
Everybody needs to be aware what is the role and responsibility, and that's how it is. And paradigm shift, when I say, that's an Albert Einstein quote which comes to me, that we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. So these whole problem, climate change, or you talk about the risk parameters when we created them, but then you have to look at different ways. And when
Right.
this sustainability and ESG comes as a guiding light or something that if you follow it from a process perspective, from everything in your mechanism, it will show you a way of, for a larger good. If you're doing well by doing good, value creation, it would lead to the, maybe a larger impact, maybe not a very short term impact or immediate profits, but long term sustainability. Yes.
Right, it is at our doorstep, and I 500% agree to that. But we often hear India being praised for solar energy, digital innovation, and even electric vehicles for that matter. Of late, I've been seeing a lot of people shifting to EV, they're becoming more aware. What's one thing about India that really does well in sustainability, according to you?
So I think, Thakur, I think it's your question. There's a lot of work which you're doing in the EV
No, I need
sector.
an academic outlook as well, and I'll
Okay.
tell you why. Because most of the times, people, when you are working in a company, it is the people involved, they are more aware. But when an academic sheds more light upon it, I think it is more relatable to people because it is coming from an expert.
Okay. So I think we have taken a ride. Like currently, we are trying to find a way out. That is where we are seeing. I mean, from an academic perspective, I'll talk from a more research back thing.
Yeah,
And yes, so when we look at the whole journey towards sustainability, or we talk about our Agenda 2030, and we talk about a net zero 2070, we were talking from an Indian perspective. And yes, we do have our NDCs, the refined NDCs, the nationally determined contribution, where our country, India, has taken very aspirational targets here. So
hmm.
we are looking at an emission intensity now of 47, reduction of a 47%, which is huge, right? So these are all those technical terms here. So
Yeah,
we are looking at, where EEV has a bigger role to play, when we
right,
talk from that perspective. So that is where this is a part of the government plan. This is a part where currently we are creating an infrastructure, for corporates to,
hmm.
align and be a part of it, so that we take this thing where, your EV infrastructure now, is being set in place. There are companies who are coming and setting up. Government is giving a lot of, their policies and schemes to set up that EV infrastructure. We are talking from, the battery life perspective, your battery and energy storage system. So that's whole complete ecosystem is now being created, curated for to meet our larger goal here. So that's
Right,
sensitization. So currently, when you look at it from a demand side and supply side, so the demand side is ready, but then the supply side also has to be ready. So I think there is a
right,
big work. There's a lot of work which is going on, where companies are coming in, and they need to be aware and sensitized. And there has to be policy driven thing, where there has to be a environment and ecosystem which has to be created.
hmm.
And again, the from the consumer side also, they have to be made aware that, what they are contributing in, their behavior change, the mindset change. Both the things have to be aligned to meet the goal.
Hmm.
When we are talking from an Agenda 2030 or a net zero. And I think the not the low hanging fruit, but the one of the first step is, your vehicular emissions. How do you tackle them? And EV is, electric vehicle industry is one of the first to, be a
Yeah.
part of it.
Thakur, your view, please.
See, I see these things slightly in a different way. I see it in a holistic manner, not as a just sustainability resource, but I see it as a lens of a journalist.
Hmm.
And look at the Indian economy breakup of GDP. Uh, we are no more a agriculture oriented or, uh, I mean, the country which was like 50 years back, where we used to say India is a Krishi Pradhan Desh. It's more so we're getting earning from there. In last 25 years, it has transitioned towards service based,
Hmm.
where we were pioneers and we continue to be pioneer 5 years back into IT and everything. But the way AI is shifting,
Hmm.
any country can be number one,
Yeah.
right? It can be dethroned like at never imagined scale and speed. Now, so if service also will go away, then what is the source of GDP and how we will survive where we are already 3 to 4% deficit? Running the entire government and the population around that is going to see the doomsday. And that's
Hmm.
where the push towards manufacturing. Look at in last 3 years the rate at which the facts are getting signed by with
Yeah.
many countries. India is going to see what China has seen 20 years back,
Hmm.
manufacturing boom. And that's where we are going to see India will become a scope 3 of the world.
Hmm.
And when we will become a scope 3 of the world, the progressive and progressed, developed, underdeveloped, developing, all economies will look up to us to set the examples.
Hmm.
And developed world has already started looking at us in the form of CBAM, or there is a tax to it, what we are going to sell. So if we have to be competitive, if we have to be ahead of the curve as compared to any other countries, where
Hmm.
28% of our GDP is in manufacturing, whereas China's is 40%. And if we have to overcross it, and if our aspiration is in 2047 to become a top 2 economies in the world,
Hmm.
we have to opt for best of the sustainability practices also to make sure our scope 3
Yeah.
carbon footprint reduces over a period of time.
Yeah.
And also we don't become, or any organization become, a poster child like Apple,
Hmm.
H&M, Zara, in terms of getting it manufactured from the organizations in India, those who have issues with respect to social cohesiveness, environmental footprint, the way they are doing manufacturing,
Hmm.
and many of the governance practices which needs to be world class.
Right.
Hence, government of India also recognize that. And that's how, if you see the transition of laws act requirement, which is coming at a speed which I've never seen in my life in last 7 years. To
Hmm.
start with EPR in plastic in 2016, today
Hmm.
as we speak, there is EPR for rubber, EPR for tire, EPR for battery, EPR for end of life.
Hmm.
The solid waste management requirement changing very fast, and many other requirements which is around, carbon tax, CCTS, green credit, carbon credit, you name it. Everything is evolving faster than ever.
Yeah.
So I see the future is bright. Organizations also already started working on it 5 years back. They would enjoy the fruit of it 5 years down the line,
Hmm.
because rest of the people have to pay the price of it.
Hmm.
Because today carbon credit price in the market is $1, $2 in a volunteer market. But you never know when there will be huge demand, what will be the floor and what will be the ceiling.
Hmm.
So it's always good that you board early. Even if you do little, you will have a headspace to then accelerate over a period of time.
Yeah.
And this is the right time to act upon it. And it is no more a
Yeah.
good to have requirement. I would say every organization should see it as a must have lever to converge headwind into a tailwind.
Hmm. You brushed on the topic of AI. AI is changing almost every industry. How can it help companies become more sustainable? Like, what is the job of AI and sustainability together?
See, AI help in terms of narrow down and cut down certain steps which would take certain time and ages to decide and define certain set of rules. AI is getting utilized into multiple way. There is agentic AI. There is AI which actually runs automatically and gives you a prediction. It also
Hmm.
accelerates the innovation. I would give you an example from my previous organization where I was working for.
Hmm.
At Dr. Reddy's, whenever any alternative drug route synthesis used to happen, it
Hmm.
used to take 2 to 3 years of a time to choose which molecule, how the reaction will take place, and what will be the outcome. But today, AI is running at unprecedented speed to give you permutation and combination and right molecule, right steps to identify with what is the alternate low polluting chemical to be utilized so that green chemistry can evolve, and in a shorter period you can get the right outcome. So drug discovery is one of that element, and that's how you must have seen the early use of AI has helped us get vaccine
Yeah.
within a year's time, and today it is moving at much faster pace. So
Right.
it is not only saving time, decision making is happening faster, digital twin and automation is giving peace of a mind, and it is at the disposal of a human being to accelerate innovation,
Hmm.
to find the solution which human brain might take 5 years, it will come much ahead of the curve.
Right. And since you're speaking about that, Shruti, there are young students and Thakur, there are young professionals who want to spend more time learning artificial intelligence. But there are pros and cons to it. So would you recommend, because there's a lot of audience uproar about uh, using AI in normal everyday life. So, what is your view on that? Should young professionals or students learn more time learning AI or learning sustainability?
Uh,
Of course.
Gurjeen, yeah, yeah.
Go ahead, please, doctor.
Yes, so this is AI as you rightly said that yes, they have to learn. AI, it's become more a necessity now. You
Yeah.
cannot do without. AI is. I mean, we say it's a digital twin of sustainability. So that is how. So Thakur spoke
Right.
about pharma, where he spoke about how did it, facilitated the processes, and yes, we are saving time here. It's enabling a lot of innovations. It's basically facilitating a lot of work which otherwise would have taken a longer time here, right? So
Yeah.
time, energy, and effort, AI is helping us. But then, very rightly pointed out, Gursheen, this is something which you cannot ignore. You have to
Yeah.
learn, but you have to now, catch the bull by its horn because I feel
Hmm.
AI is, if you don't, take control it, yes, rightly pointed out that there are a lot of unintended consequences to it. And that
Yeah.
is where, whenever we talk about AI, we talk about responsible AI.
Yeah.
Because now, when we talk from a research perspective, when we talk from an academic perspective, we see the way AI has now integrated into our lifestyles, into the behaviors, especially
Yeah.
everybody at a grassroots level is phenomenal. Yes, it is
Yes.
facilitated, but now it's being looked as the next plastic, the demon which we've created, the data center challenges, the emissions which are going to come. So currently, from a research perspective, we have started talking about ethics in AI. We are talking
Yeah.
AI from a policy. What kind of policies are you now? You have to create. We are talking from a responsible AI. That
Hmm.
is where ESG plays a very big role here.
Yeah.
So yes, we are, it has to be operated in a controlled manner. And
Hmm.
this has to be taught to the young students. Yes, we do that whenever
Yeah.
we are teaching. I think this course also highlights, it does not highlight AI, it highlights responsible AI. So we
Yeah.
will be teaching you AI, but in a responsible manner. You should know the boundaries, you should know the limits, and you should know that, if it's just let loose, what kind of havoc AI will create, and we can see. So a controlled AI, and that's how I think it's just started. So that ethics and responsible AI has to be taught. And yes, answering your question, Gursheen, it's important. It's a necessity. Everybody should learn about it because yes, it is integrated with AI and sustainability. I say it's a power couple. You have to be together.
Yeah.
Yes, but yes, in a responsible manner. Thank you.
Thakur, your view on that, please.
Oh, I totally agree with Dr. Shruti that it needs to be used in a very calibrated manner, I would say,
Hmm.
and to be utilized only to enable your path and accelerate the journey to the extent. And but still, end of the day, you have to take a call that you want to use that outcome in an appropriate manner or not.
Hmm.
Because many of the inputs also at the end of that, when AI runs something, it indicates please ensure that you double check because it's AI generated. There's no
Yeah.
surety around it. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's one part. I wish you would have asked this question 10 days down the line because I'm about to attend one of the program which is scheduled in collaboration with CIA and NUS Singapore, which is around
Right.
sustainability and AI. So
Right.
I'm going to unlock more learning probably 10 days from now that how at a CSO level or at a sustainability professional level, what all there are can be utilized and there are various avenues which can be taken into account. So if you
Right.
guys are interested, please subscribe for this program. It is a
For sure.
3-day program which is hosted by NUS.
For sure. And I know that we're short on time, but I'm also willing to ask you, Thakur, because this is uh, a collective question from a lot of people I have spoken to, that what do companies want? When you are interviewing someone, what impresses you more? Is it a long list of certification or someone who is genuinely understands sustainability?
What actually draw my attention in any of the CVs, first is how the attitude of the person look like. I
Right.
mean, it may sound very different. This is how I look at it, and everyone
Yeah.
have its own outlook and lens. I start to look at a CV from the last column or the last paragraph,
Okay.
like how the fungibility the candidate brings in terms of extracurricular games and many other activities, how they're involved in various committees, because
Hmm.
that also shows that how different that person is, how fungibility they brings it on the table,
Yeah.
how versatile they are, and
Yeah.
at the same time, what level of attitude they bring in. Because please
Yeah.
understand, when someone is coming as a fresher,
Yeah.
what they bring on the table is attitude. Aptitude can be built over a period of time because what they've learned will help them accelerate and apply those concepts over a period of time, we will give them that ground. Without attitude, nothing will fly. And that's
Yeah.
something which is like an on and off for
Right.
anyone while they're looking at any specific CV or a candidate.
Dr. Shruti, students, you see freshers, you see students who are ambitious, but they often worry about collecting certificates. Do you think that certificates matter more than practical knowledge, to say the least?
Uh, Certifications, yes, because they, give them an understanding of theory and they give them an understanding of the context. So certifications, yes, play a good role here because you have
Yeah.
to start journey somewhere, before practical implementation, whether you get your hands on. So I
Yeah.
think having a foundational knowledge, having a knowledge goes a long way, so that you know where you're starting, that right
Yeah.
direction, you get a right direction and you can build up on it gradually. So, certifications play a very big role here, so because again, I feel what is lacking in this field, Gurshin, is awareness.
Yeah.
Again, I said there are a lot of myths, which are in the space where sustainability people think of it from a very different aspect, where
Right.
I would say that we are amongst the privileged few, and even the others, our audience who have joined, are one of the privileged few in the country who
Yeah.
know about the domain and are willing to take a step forward or willing to explore what this thing is all about. So for
Yeah.
that, rather than, because we are living in an era of misinformation and disinformation, so there
Yeah.
is a lot of things out there and open. There are a lot of, if you look at sustainability, everybody talks about it because yes, it's a buzzword. It's good to know jargons. It's jargonized in a way. So you need
Yeah.
to know certifications, the right people who will help you on understanding the context from a very, like, yes, this is what it is. And then, practical implementation, you can go do an internship at some place, a right
Yeah.
organization where you can help bridge the theory gap and, okay, what you've learned and this is how it's practiced. And you
Yeah.
complete your learning once you go and, hand work there and, from a project. And as an
Yeah.
academician also, we do research, but we also do the projects like this Indian Army project because it's a learning for us also. So
Yeah.
whatever you do research, backing it up by, yes, what are the implementation challenges, is which completes our learning as an academician. So we are always fascinated by the other side. So for students also, that's how the theory happens. The context built the right through foundation, through certification, through programs and courses, and then the implementation bit. Yes, level 2.
Right. And before we move to the next step of our program, I really want to conduct a rapid fire with you both. So, one word answers only. Please know the rules. And we'll begin with something basic. So, coffee or tea?
See,
Green tea.
Okay. How specific was that? Okay. Electric car or public transport?
public transport.
Of course, electric car, because public transport is not available and so limited into certain routes, and I have to.
Okay. And plant more trees or reduce plastic?
Reduce plastic.
Both.
Thakur, you have to pick one, please.
I will plant more trees.
Okay.
Plastic.
AI or human intelligence?
Human intelligence goes all the way. Still, old school.
For next 2 years, of course, to leverage AI completely.
Okay. One sustainability habit everyone should start doing tomorrow.
Uh, I think be more closer to the nature. Yeah.
Since you're sitting very close to nature, I think people in Delhi are not going to like that. Thakur, to you.
Inside out, know your footprint. The day when you know your footprint, that how much you are polluting, how much plastic you are consuming, how much energy you are consuming, the same very day you will start to bring that change.
Yeah, I agree. One thing companies should stop doing immediately. Thakur, we go with you first.
Greenwashing.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Greenwashing, that was the first thing which came in mind. I think this is where me and Thakur aligned. Greenwashing. And I think, we need to normalize failures. We need to normalize things that, yes, we can't do. Not every report has
Yeah.
to talk about achievements. So,
Yeah.
yes, greenwashing. Yes, stop.
And finally, one word that describes India's sustainability future.
it's a bright future and it's awesome. We are leading the way, leading by example, I think.
Right.
Absolutely right. 10 year down the line, people will come and learn from us.
Yes.
Right. So, Pankaj sir, now we are moving to you. Are we beginning with a clip or can we take audience questions?
Thanks, Susheen. Yes, I think some of the questions they've already sent, we can start taking those questions. And before that, Rahul, if you're there, you can play the AV of the CSLB program. And then, Gushin, we can, ask those questions on their behalf. And if anybody wants to raise their hand and ask questions, we'll take that
Yes,
also.
please.
And finally, if you can also hand this over to Dr. Amit Thakur, we want to talk about the TERI ESG Academy as well. Over
Okay.
to you. Rahulji, can you please play that? Thank you so much. So, Gushin, you can ask those questions. But before you do that, I wanted to add something. You asked a very interesting question to the panelist earlier on, that what is the advantage that India had? And I've
Yeah.
quoted this in many places. And here is my thing. We, in our culture, sustainability is deep rooted in our DNA. Nowhere in the, I mean, very few places in the world, probably this is there. We are used to, wearing hand-down clothes. We are
Yeah.
used to, having zero carbon neutral households. I mean, if you look at the earlier days, in fact, I remember getting bottles of cola on a glass bottle and returning them.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest advantage that India has, except for this generation gap, which there'll be some amount of transmission loss after us. So I think
Yeah.
that is something I wanted to say. And over to you, and if you could just tell the participants about the question and take the question.
So, does any one of our participants have any questions? Please raise your hand or type your questions and we'll put them through. Meantime, I have few questions which have already been submitted. And to both panelists, I would want to let you know that the AI question that I asked was given by Guru Datta Acharya. He is in ESG strategy at RP Sanjeev Goenka Group. So I incorporated that in my discussion because when we talk about AI and when even slightly the topic is brushed upon, I think it should always be it should always be spoken about a lot because there's still confusion over it, and though most people use it, most people don't know the right way to use it. So I asked, and I'll move to the second question: will the program help a professional transition into a career into carbon credits and nature based solutions? This is asked by Kuldeep Malakar. He's a project executive, Conisphere Solutions. So, Thakur, I guess this is for you.
Okay, let's talk about little in detail. I will decouple this. Like
Yeah,
sustainability is a space for who all, and after being into sustainability, where all you can spend your career into.
yeah,
So on the upstream side, if you are from a marketing, if you are
Yeah.
from sales, if you are from branding, if you are from
Yeah.
communication, if you are from HR, if you are coming from CSR, if you are
Yeah.
coming from engineering, if you are coming from commerce, you can see how universal and diverse background people can come in,
Yeah.
right? And that's how I've seen that diversity in every batch which is getting inducted in TERI from for the master's program and for the MBA program. So, which
Right.
means sustainability is a space for everyone.
Hmm.
Now, let's talk about once you get refined as a sustainability professional, once you get those checks and balances, methods, tools, and
Hmm.
some ways to deploy the sustainability in the organization, where all you can use it or make career into it. One is, of course, sustainable finance.
Hmm.
Banking professionals are looking at people coming from sustainability background to give them a perspective about sustainability to integrate into green financing, sustainable loan, green bonds, and various other tools. And the Article 6, which is going to evolve over a period of time, which is the aftermath effect of COP29, is something which is one of the area. Second area is you can start your own venture or add value into sustainability communication. What to communicate, how to communicate, what not to communicate to avoid whitewash, greenwash, and various
Yeah.
other thing in a very, very systematic and a balanced manner. Third area is governance, where you can evolve. You can always put your governance in the right manner, be a part of the extended arm of a strategy or a business planning team, and be a part of the spokesperson to not only board sustainability related elements, but also to the investors, those who are asking right questions around ESG and sustainability. Another area
Hmm.
is accounting. If you are from engineering domain, you have neck towards the analysis, analytics, or all of these things, then your carbon calculation, carbon accounting will help you in terms of helping organization ascertain decarbonization
Hmm.
and also assurance, which is important in current context where CBAM is coming nearby. A lot of assurances are required, calculations are required, carbon footprint is going to evolve over a period of time. Eco labeling would ask for product level carbon footprinting, green pro certification, and many other ways in terms of water positive other areas. If you are coming from hardcore engineering, or you are an energy managers, then you can also be part of the entire decarbonization journey aligned to 14,064, 68, net
Hmm.
zero, and other protocols which are coming in. And there are very few experts into that direction. And then finally, if anything which is exciting you towards the social dimension of ESG, then of course you can always dovetail these elements into going towards the direction of diversity and inclusion, be a part of CSR team with sustainability and overlapping projects which can be driven in a very
Right.
systematic manner, which will be having a long-term horizon. So I would
Right.
say that sustainability is the launch pad, and any
Yeah.
and every function can come in. They can blend that knowledge, and sustainability knowledge with your current skill set will make you is like a deadly combination.
Right. Shruti, the next question is from you. For you, his name is Atif Rahmani, and he is working as an academic coordinator at the New Delhi Institute of Information Technology and Management. So he asks, how important is behavioral change in creating awareness about ESG, especially among college students? Do you think there is a need to introduce a common ESG module in higher education to build a basic foundation for students and provide them with opportunities?
Yes, in fact, it's a we need to have behavior change, especially not from a college student, from right from the start. You need to really catch them young, because this is one of the biggest challenge. So when we look at
Yeah.
it from a sustainability aspect, we talk about financial challenges, we talk about technological, but the biggest here is behavior challenges. So no matter, you can give them some product, which is 100%, sustainable. The company is taken care of, consumer, but then the time of the behavior change is what which the mindset shift is where it actually steers the agenda. So
Hmm.
behavior change becomes important, and then from a behavior change, when we talk from a behavior change aspect, uh, when we again coming back to the consumer learning, how we say that the consumer learning has happened is when
Hmm.
we say that the product seamlessly becomes a part of your behavior, is when the we say from a marketing perspective that consumer learning has happened. And
Hmm.
to make this is sustainability seamlessly integrate into your behavior, the way you operate, or a way of life, is where you need to understand the context well. It has to be integrated right from the start. The values, where your upbringing, your even the value system in your family, the culture. How we have an edges, like we already, as Pankaj mentioned, that it has sustainability has been a way of life of Indian households, the way we operate, resource
Yeah.
efficiency, water conservation. All of this has been an
Yeah.
integral part when we have seen our parents. So schools have to also practice, nurture this, and college education becomes important because college education tells them that how do you actually practice this in your in your workplace, in your
Mm.
profession, and how are you able to create an impact. And this
Mm.
generation, when we look at Gen Z's and the Gen Alphas, which are yet in school, for them the biggest motivator is creating of, like, whether they're able to create that impact or not. And to help them
Yeah.
create an impact, they need to know the role in a granular way, that this is what we will do, and this is
Right.
will help us in creating an impact through the profession which we do. So,
Right.
educating for a behavioral change, education plays a bigger role. Right education plays a very big role. Apart from your, in a holistic education, the family value system, then the school, where schools become a living labs. How do you take care of the environment, water conservation, not just being
Mm.
taught, but being practiced. And then professionally, the education, the college education plays a bigger role. I hope I'm able to answer the question.
There's someone else who's inquiring about the ESG reporting software. So they ask, will participants gain hands-on experience with carbon accounting tools or ESG reporting software?
In this certification program, yes. So since we are talking about ESG, AI, and carbon markets, where we look at AI as an intelligence and ESG as a purpose. So
Yeah.
we've actually discussed a lot. So AI, when we look at it from an ESG perspective, AI helps you to automate ESG data collection. It helps you in calculating our carbon footprints, measuring your scope 1, scope 2, all your sustainability data, scenario analysis, identifying climate risk, supporting biodiversity, but through monitoring, all those, and the frameworks BRSR, GRI, ISSB, IFRS S1 and S2, whatever we have mentioned, so we will give a hands-on training through the certification, that how do you use AI, as I said, digital twins, the softwares, everything will be a part of the curriculum and the part of the training.
Yeah. And we have few more questions. So Thakur, I guess this is for you. How can ESG compliance lead to a circular economy? This is Vinod Palibal, Sustainable Development Billacom.
So compliance is the only tool which is actually accelerating the circularity. Look at the end of life vehicle requirement coming up, EPR requirement.
Hmm.
It's clearly indicating in our case that certain number of vehicle or certain ton of steel to be recycled over a period of time, which is a requirement of EPR,
Hmm.
ELB.
Yeah.
Then battery Aadhaar and battery passport of Europe is also indicating circularity. EPR
Hmm.
plastic is also talking about recycled content into a
Hmm.
product. So compliance is the only tool which will accelerate. Otherwise, there is no intent of organizations today to go for a circularity because the cost is very high
Hmm.
and availability of a similar type of a material or quality of material is not there in India.
Hmm.
And reverse logistic is still very costly. Refinement process is still not running at economy of scale. So there are many hurdles which we will have to address over a period of time before
Hmm.
it is a lucrative proposition or uptake is coming organically in the organization, around the
Hmm.
organizations. So apparently that's how compliances or compliance route is one deterrent which actually give a push to the organization, go progressively,
Hmm.
2%, 3%, 5%, 10%, and reach to a level where it become a new norm. And it is not hitting the pocket of the organization or bottom line of the organization too.
Hmm. There is another question, which it is not a question, somebody has put across a point. It is Mukesh Das, who feels a real dilemma industry is facing today is whether to invest for fighting future problem versus current profitability. Thakur, what would you say to that?
That's a pragmatic approach you have to always see. In a sense, when you are not even making a profit, why would you invest more? Is
Yeah.
something which I keep hearing from many of the organizations. But let me be very clear on this part that sustainability is not only about investing. Sustainability is also about changing the mindset to reduce if you can,
Hmm.
enhance the efficiency. Waste reduction, energy efficiency, saving the water is also part of sustainability. And it is going to generate a cost, value.
Hmm.
And having a calibrated approach in the investment, which can give you uh, uh, sure return in less than 2 years of payback
Hmm.
period, nothing wrong in it. So if you
Yeah.
don't want to go so proactively, full gungo and say that we will be investing even if there is no return coming in,
Hmm.
then take a calibrated approach. But start somewhere because it's need of an hour. It is going to create a differentiator. And if you are the supplier for other companies, then you will always have foot in the door and will be ahead of the curve. I'll give you the example in my previous organization when we were supplying medicines to all big companies, you name it in pharmaceutical, we used to
Hmm.
bid.
Hmm.
And in Europe, we were always L3. We were not even L1. But we used to win the bid because other bidders were not that good in sustainability. And sustainability was a differentiator and it is a value creator for us. And we used to win the bid in Germany, in France, and some of the countries where there is a value to it.
Hmm.
And not only there, I will give you the example where one of the discussion where I was involved in the discussion with Walmart head. Walmart have a program called
Hmm.
Gigaton, and our product drugs were over the counter in Walmart stores. And they say that if you are going to reduce 30% of the carbon footprint in your plastic bottles of the medicines, we would
Hmm.
be giving you 3% more market, more shelf. So
Right.
it is also sometime a value creation in the eye of your own customer. Today, we manufacture 25% of the volume of entire BMW two-wheelers in the world.
Yeah.
And BMW considered as a value creator for them. Same is the case because of the BMW. Now we have a tie-up with Hyundai. We will be
Yeah.
producing entire electric three-wheeler for Hyundai in India and overseas. So
Yeah.
it's sometimes you have to also see how you are going to create a value and solving the problem of other. That you become a
Right.
supplier for them and you're reducing their carbon footprint in scope 3. Uh,
Yeah.
you never know you get an extra pie for it.
Yeah. Over to you, Amit Thakur. Now, can you please speak about the ESG Academy? I guess everyone is really interested in knowing about that, the program. There are a lot of questions for that as well. So, please, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Gurshin, and what a wonderful webinar we are having today. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, so the ESG Academy, in fact, is for Global South, driven by India, and
Yeah.
TERI is leading that program. Why
Mm.
the TERI ESG Academy? Because the larger issues are being solved in piecemeals. Whether we talk about solutions in the energy segment, environment segment, social segment, or in the governance segment, things are in silos. India can lead in this front, and India should lead at this front from the global south. The whole
Absolutely.
idea of the ESG Academy, which was launched at the London Climate Action Week on 26th of June at the Commonwealth by the Commonwealth ambassador, and
Mm.
there were leaders from across the globe. The whole purpose of the ESG Academy to engage with all these stakeholders. It's a neutral entity. It's a multi-stakeholder platform, and this will engage the corporates like TVS, Tata's, and I mean many corporates. So it has multiple verticals. The first important is the ESG certification program, which is going
Mm.
on right today. And this ESG certification program is starting with a webinar, but this program will actually start from September to November, 3 months. And this will be
Mm.
happening at the Sustainability Center of TERI at TERI, which is a classic example of sustainability.
Yeah.
Now, one part is the sustainability training program. Second are the series of leadership training programs for multi-level, the kind of resource creation which is required at a company level, government level, and all stakeholder level. Third, we intend to solve the net zero issues, the kind of solutions which are required in terms of achieving net zero. So what needs to be done? Every company has announced, maybe the 1,000 top companies, that how net zero has to be achieved. But before that, is your workforce ready for that? So this academy also gives that kind of opportunity and engagement with the corporates. The
Yeah.
next idea is to establish a center of excellence and eventually establish a ESG academy, a physical academy, either in Delhi, TERI center in TERI Gram, or in Mumbai, Airoli, where TERI has a big piece of land. So the entire idea is that how sustainability can be looked in a condensed form, which will eventually lead to efficiency for corporates, and which also means that sustainability is not costly. It's a way of life, and let make it a way of life. How things are looked at. We are going to engage with all major governments, with the corporates, and with right kind of stakeholders. So here is an
Right.
opportunity from global south to reach to rest of the world and imbibe the learners. So this is the larger purpose of the ESG Academy. Thank you.
Pankaj sir, do we
Thank
take
you
more
so much,
questions?
Krusheen. Thank you, everyone. I am so happy that everybody made it from their busy schedules. And really, thank you to Dr. Shruti. You are in beyond or somewhere. And of course, Mr. Fairwani, who's just flown in and made it in time. Thank you all. And we'll also put forward this content on First Post and other platforms so that people could still benefit out of this. And Mr. Fairwani, I must say, you're attending another course on AI. Even our course is not that bad. You could give that a shot too, or at least nominate somebody for it. It'll be really nice.
He'll
Thank
be a
you all.
Sure.
mentor in the course. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you
Dr.
so much.
Shruti, Mr. Thakur, I am so thankful for your opinions and the insightful conversation I have had. I think it has educated me the most, and because I enjoy a lot learning about this. And Amit sir, thank you for explaining us what the program is going to be about, and thank you to everyone who joined us, sent their questions. We really hope that today's discussion has given you practical insights and the confidence to take the leap. So, everyone, please have a wonderful day. And I hope you have a more sustainable day, to say the least.
Thank you. And thank you, Gursin, for an amazing moderation. Thank you so
Thank
Thank
much.
you.
you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Gushin. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you.
Have a good
Thank
Thanks
day.
for
you.
that. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.